I guess we're going to have to give it back. You know, if we didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar again.
On February 28, 2026, the United States launched Operation Epic Fury. Within weeks, 90% of Iran's visible infrastructure was destroyed. By every tactical metric, it was a flawless victory. And it produced a $300 billion strategic defeat. In less than a week, America destroyed most of Iran's military. The supreme leader was dead, nuclear facilities were hit, air defenses collapsed. So why did the United States still lose? The answer isn't about firepower, it's about architecture. Iran wasn't built as any military America had ever fought before. And the planners who authorized Operation Epic Fury either didn't know that or assumed it wouldn't matter. By the end of this video, you'll understand why killing the leader made the war harder to end, why one narrow strip of water mattered more than every airstrike combined, and why a country that never fired a shot ended up negotiating the peace. This is Conflict Vector, where every conflict has a hidden equation. When America goes to war, it follows a playbook that worked before. Find the leader, remove the leader, watch the system collapse. It worked in Iraq in 2003. Saddam Hussein ran his entire military through one central command. Every unit waited for orders from the top. When American forces took out that command structure, Iraqi formations stopped fighting, not because they were outgunned, but because they were waiting for a phone call that just never came. The logic seemed sound for Iran too. Take out Khamenei, take out the IRGC commanders, destroy the command infrastructure, force capitulation within weeks. But here's what the planners got wrong. Iran had been watching Iraq in 2003 for 20 years, and they spent every one of those years making sure the same thing could never happen to them. So, Khamenei was killed. Here's what happened next, and it wasn't what anyone predicted. Within 24 hours of his death, Iranian missile strikes hit US military bases across 5 countries simultaneously. 500 ballistic missiles were launched in the first 4 days. 2,000 drones. By day 3, active combat was running across 7 countries at once. Nobody in Tehran was coordinating this in real time. That's the part that broke the model. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said it publicly on March 1st, one day after the supreme leader was killed. Bombings in our capital have no impact on our ability to conduct war. Decentralized Mosaic Defense enables us to decide when and how war will end. He wasn't bluffing. He was reading a status report. So how does a military keep fighting after its entire leadership is killed? Iran built something nobody in Washington fully accounted for. It's called Mosaic Defense. And it works like this. Most militaries are built like a tree. Cut the trunk, and the branches die. Iran built a different structure entirely. 31 separate military commands spread across the country, each one able to fight completely on its own. No permission required from Tehran, no phone calls to the capital. Every province had its own weapons, its own intelligence, its own chain of command. And every commander already had 3 replacements waiting, named in advance, 3 ranks deep, so no single death could create a leadership vacuum. When Operation Epic Fury killed the supreme leader and dozens of senior commanders, those 31 provincial systems activated immediately. They didn't wait. They already had their instructions. The strike eliminated the only authority capable of negotiating a surrender while leaving the war machine fully intact. It didn't decapitate the Iranian military. It removed the off switch. And here's the part that made it worse. To produce the paralysis the strike package was designed for, the Pentagon would have needed to simultaneously eliminate not dozens, but hundreds of named commanders across 31 geographic locations. No air campaign in history has done that. The pre-war assessment never accounted for it. America owned the skies, but Iran controlled something more valuable. One strip of water, 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. 20% of the world's daily oil supply flows through it. On March 4th, Iran closed it. 6 days later, 6.7 million barrels per day were offline. By March 12th, that number hit 10 million. Brent crude surged past $120 a barrel. The International Energy Alliance called it the largest oil supply disruption in recorded history. Here's the math that explains why this was impossible to reverse. To reopen the Strait, America needed total control over the corridor mine clearance under active fire, continuous air cover over Iranian coastal positions, and suppression of mobile missile batteries that moved locations every launch. The Pentagon told Congress mine clearance alone would take 6 months after the war ended. Iran closed the Strait with mines, fast boats, and cheap coastal missiles, the lowest cost layer of its entire arsenal. It didn't need to sink ships. It needed to make the insurance risk high enough that commercial operators stopped showing up. That threshold is far below military defeat. And Iran closed it on day 4. America owned the skies. Iran still controlled the outcome. By March 30th, the U.S. Treasury Secretary was publicly saying the administration would gradually take control of the Strait of Hormuz. 30 days in, that phrase, gradually take control, was not in the original operational plan. At this point, America faced a problem no amount of airstrikes could solve. The Islamabad Memorandum was signed on June 17, 2026. Strait reopened, naval blockade lifted. 60 days of talks on sanctions and Iran's nuclear program. Nuclear program intact. Missile stockpile intact. Proxy network across 7 countries intact. Islamic Republic in power with a harder-line successor regime than the one the campaign removed. $29 billion in confirmed U.S. military costs. $300 billion in Iranian economic damage. The largest oil supply disruption in recorded history. That document wasn't a victory statement. It was a cost report. The problem was structural. Air campaigns can destroy infrastructure. They cannot occupy territory. They cannot force political surrender from a military system specifically designed to absorb the campaign being run against it and keep fighting. Without ground forces, the attacker eventually runs out of targets that matter, and the defender just has to outlast the political will to keep striking. Iran's entire doctrine was built around that timeline. Make the war expensive, make it long, make the other side blink first. It worked. And then came the part nobody predicted at all. Operation Epic Fury launched without warning the Gulf Arab states hosting American military bases. Within 72 hours, those bases were absorbing Iranian missile strikes. Allies who didn't know the operation was coming took fire because of it. When that happens, trust doesn't break loudly. It breaks quietly in base access negotiations, in intelligence sharing decisions, in procurement choices made years later. Every ally that took a missile strike without a phone call ran the same calculation about what American partnership actually costs. Regional powers stopped waiting for Washington to lead. They organized their own Strait reopening discussions. The diplomatic center shifted east. The war ended with Pakistan, not Washington, brokering the agreement. A country with no military stake in the conflict held the leverage that the operation failed to preserve. America didn't negotiate the peace settlement for a war it started. American military doctrine ran on one equation for 20 years. Find the center of gravity, strike it, produce collapse, end the conflict. It worked in Iraq because Saddam built a system with exactly 1 point of failure. Iran built a system with 31. The operation delivered every military objective on the target list. 90% of visible infrastructure destroyed. Supreme leader killed. Surface fleet eliminated. Nuclear sites struck. Air defenses degraded. The Islamic Republic is standing. The nuclear program is recovering. The Strait remains contested. Regional trust is fractured, and the adversary that signed the ceasefire told the world on day 1 that it would decide when the war ended. It did. America spent 20 years perfecting how to destroy armies. Iran spent 20 years making sure destruction no longer mattered. That's why a campaign that won almost every battle still lost the economic war.